Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Brent from Team Draw Better, and today we're doing a Cyber Dragon deck profile. So I'm pretty hyped to do this for you guys today because Cyber Dragon is actually the deck that got me into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, this is what started getting me to go to locals, and like, I actually started doing pretty well with the deck, which is funny because it was only three of the Cyber Strike structure decks just combined into one. But without further ado, we're just going to get straight into it. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And yeah, let's get straight into it. So first off, we can't have a Cyber Dragon deck without the one, the only Cyber Dragon. Pretty iconic card. If your opponent controls monsters and you don't, you can special summon this from your hand. And we have to have the QCRs because they are just gorgeous. But staple for the deck, you know, helps all your fusion plays and like other spell cards with cyber that are related to Cyber Dragons. So yeah, really iconic card and wouldn't be a deck without it. Next is our best normal summon in the deck, 3 Cyber Dragon Core. When it's normal summon, you can add any cyber spell or trap from your deck to your hand, and its second ability, when this is in the graveyard and only your opponent controls monsters, you can banish it and special summon a Cyber Dragon monster from your deck. So, and you can only use one or the other effect once per turn. But best normal summon in the game, it gets you to your other cyber spells and traps like Emergency, Repair Plant, and Rev System. But yeah, this is your best starter. So next is 2 Cyber Dragon Hers. Good extender because when it's special summoned, you can make it level 5. Or if it hits the graveyard, you can add one other Cyber Dragon from your deck to your hand. And it has to be Cyber Dragon because all the smaller Cyber Dragon monsters, their name becomes Cyber Dragon when they're on the field. However, when they're in the deck, their name is still like Cyber Dragon Core or Cyber Dragon Hers. So you wouldn't be able to add off of hers, say, Cyber Dragon Core, because it's not a Cyber Dragon yet. But hers is a good extender because you can do multiple things. Say, if you want to go into, say, Cyber Dragon Nova, then you could use Rev System to like you could special summon this from your hand, and because it's special summoned, you can make it level 5 after you already special that. So there's 2 5s for Nova right away. Or you could send it to grave to get another body for one of your fusions. But yeah, good card. Now we have a honorary Cyber Dragon. We're playing 2 copies of Galaxy Soldier. Galaxy Soldier is a staple in most Cyber Dragon decks because it's a level 5. It's typically a free special summon because you can send one other light monster, sorry, from your hand to the grave, and you can special summon it. And when this is special summoned, you can add another galaxy monster from your deck to your hand. And every time you do this, you're going to be searching another copy of himself. So if you can manage to get even 2 of these on the field, then that's a Cyber Dragon Nova right there. So, really good card. Now, because this is updated post-info, we are going to be playing 3 copies of Disa Blaster, the Negation Fortress. This card is insane because, number 1, its pendulum effect is it negates any cards activated in this column. Okay, pretty good. But it can special summon if there is no cards in a column, and its regular effect is it still negates any cards in that column. So really good for just turning off boards and like shutting all of your opponent's cards down. And it's also a machine duplication target because its attack is 500. So if you machine duplication this, you can special summon to columns that have cards, because you're not forced to special summon the other 2 copies in columns that don't have cards. So if you machine dupe this and put the other 2 copies in columns where, say, like, your opponent has monsters or set cards, guess what? They're turned off. So this is really good for shutting your opponent's boards off because, yeah, crazy card with machine duplication. Crazy card in general, honestly. This is really good support for Cyber Dragon. But moving on, we're playing one Noxter. Yeah, let me move it over here. One Noxter. Noxter's good. It's just not as good as Galaxy Soldier, but it's still really good in case like you have, say, Clockwork Knight to like help break a board, because it's still like the other small Cyber Dragons. It becomes Cyber Dragon when it hits the field, and when it's normal or special summon, you can bring back you can special summon a machine monster from the graveyard that has 2100 attack or defense, so Cyber Dragon, and you can special summon it back to the field. So it can be a monster reborn as well. So for the other one-off monsters, we're playing one Cyber Dark Chimera. This is mostly for the OTK because you're going to search. If you were going for the OTK, what you would do here is you would normal summon Core. Core's effect would go off. You would add Cyber Dark Realm. You would activate Realm to search you Chimera. And once Realm resolves, you get an extra normal summon. So you would normal summon the Chimera. And Chimera's effect, you get to discard one other spell or trap, and you get to add Power Bond. And Power Bond is what buffs up all of our Cyber Dragon fusions. So we play this for the OTK. We play one Jizukiru, just for getting rid of like any sort of big body or really big problem that our opponent has. We play one Therion King Regulus. Card's really crazy. Oh, also, if he's on field and you equip a Cyber Dragon to Regulus and you have Clockwork Knight on field, you can still contact fuse. As crazy as that sounds, Cyber Dragon is a spell considered a spell or trap at that point because it's equipped to Regulus. But on Clockwork Knight, well, I'm sorry. What we'd be using with Clockwork Knight and that to make would be a Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon, but it doesn't say Cyber Dragon has to be a monster. It just says Cyber Dragon and one or more machine type monsters. So you can easily contact fuse with Cyber Dragon equipped to Regulus. As crazy as that is, it is possible. So after Regulus, we then play one copy of Carnot the Eternal Machine. And this card's really good for the OTK as well, because if your opponent, say, you go for Core's effect, if your opponent ashes that, this card says at any point during the duel, which your opponent has activated a monster effect in their hand or grave, you can just free special summon it. Just a free special summon. And if they use an effect while he's on board, he gains 1,000 attack. So he's already at 3k, so he becomes a 4k beat stick and just keeps building up. That's only once per turn, but being a 4,000 attack monster right away is pretty insane. So that's going to be it for the monsters. We're going to move on to the spells next. Now, spell cards, we're playing the staples. We're playing 3 Emergency. This is going to search you any one of your Cyber Dragon monsters or any light machine monster that can't be normal summoned or set. So this card can actually search out Carnot, which is kind of insane. Like if you're focused on solely doing damage, then you can search and say you already have Core or anything like that in hand. Just search Carnot, and there you go. You have a 3,000 monster on board. So 3 copies of Emergency. We play 1 copy of Realm to help with our OTK. 1 copy of Power Bond that also helps. We're playing 1 copy of Overload Fusion, just another way to get out our big fusion monsters in order to deal like a lot of damage. We're playing only 2 copies of Machine Duplication. I felt like 3 was starting to be bricky, because if you draw more than 1, and you have no monsters to target with this, it's kind of a dead hand. So I feel like 2 is just right. You see it enough. So, and it's still a really good card. After that, we're playing 2 copies of Duality. So this card is insane because let's say you make any one of your fusions. Let's say, for example, you go Power Bond and you fuse, you make a Chimeratech Rampage Dragon. Now, this is a level 5 Dark Machine, and Duality says you contribute 1 lighter dark monster and special summon 1 lighter dark monster from your hand or extra deck with the same original type and level, but a different attribute. So let's say we have Chimeratech Rampage Dragon on field. That's a level 5. What we can do is, say this is getting targeted for when it's fusion summoned, it can pop spells or traps. Let's say it's getting targeted with an Imperm. We can crack a Duality, tribute this, and then bring out either a Disa Blaster or a Cyber Dragon, because both of these are a level 5 light machine. So they can both be exchanged off of Chimeratech Rampage Dragon. And another cool play you can do is if you, let's say you have Clockwork Knight on field and you special summon Cyber Dragon, your opponent, immediately loses their entire board with the massive contact fusion, and you'll bring out Chimeratech Fortress Dragon. So this is a level 8 dark machine. Cool. Again, we crack Duality, we tribute. We're going to do this in the battle phase, actually, because this is a quick play spell, which is insane. So let's say Chimeratech Fortress Dragon is at... we tributed a decent amount. Let's say he's at 4,000. We tributed 4 monsters, so we're going to say he's at 4,000. We're going to swing for 4,000 in the battle phase. Then we're going to use Duality, tribute it. So he's a level 8 dark machine. So we're going to swap him for a level 8 light machine. And we're going to bring out Cyber Twin Dragon. Now, this in the battle phase, this is lethal, because this can make 2 attacks. So right there is game. You contact fuse your opponent's whole board, swing with this, Duality, bring out Twin, swing for game, because this attacks twice. So that's just another cool play you can do with Duality. Duality is just a really cool card in this deck because the amount of synergies that it has with the extra deck is just really good. Moving on, we play 3 copies of Clockwork Knight. Clockwork Knight is absolutely broken in this deck because of the contact fuse that you can do with Fortress Dragon and any Cyber Dragon monster. It makes every face-up monster on the field a machine, and machine monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense, but machine monsters your opponent controls lose 500 attack and defense. And then, if this card's in the graveyard, you can banish it and add 1 Earth Machine monster from your deck to your hand. And this is how you search out Therion King Regulus, because if you look, he just so happens to be a Earth Machine monster. So if they find a way to get rid of Clockwork Knight, guess what? You just get a free King Regulus. So really good card in the deck. It does nothing but boost up your OTK potential. But moving on. Now, I said this was going to be a competitive build, and I meant that in the sense of we're going to absolutely do everything we can to break our opponent's boards. So with that being said, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Droplet. Now, Droplet is nice because let's say you have an opponent that has a pretty decent board. You have like let's say you Bell. Fiendsmith, you Bell. You have a Phantom on board, you have a Wave High King Caesar, and you have, let's say, Desiree. So the thing with this is Droplet can just turn all of this off. Like, you can send you can send a monster card, spell card, and trap card just so they can't respond to any of that. And you proceed to just go in, turn off their monsters that are a problem, and proceed to just start going for the OTK. Droplet is really good in this deck because it helps turn off your opponent's board in order to like go in for stuff. Next, 3 Ultimate Slayer. We are playing an Ultimate Slayer package. Now, for those of you that don't know what this does, your opponent can't activate monster effects in response to this. You can send 1 monster from your extra deck and then target a monster your opponent controls with the same type: Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, Pendulum, or Link, and shuffle it back into their extra deck. Absolutely broken card for breaking boards because we play a pretty decent Ultimate Slayer package that when those monsters get sent to the graveyard, they have additional effects. So you're going to see that later on. But next we're going to play 2 Raigeki. Raigeki's just in here to bait out, say, a negate, because if your opponent doesn't deal with this, they lose all their monsters. We play 1 Talent, just in case, you know, we need more interaction or follow-up or anything like that. You can draw 2, take control of a monster, or you can look at their hand and rip a card. We play 1 Change of Heart, another negate bait practically, just because, and also helps with OTK if they don't respond to it. Just steal one of their monsters and then go for your Cyber Dragon plays. And then 1 Feather Duster for clearing out back row. But that's the spells and traps. So, or no, sorry, just the spells. But now we're going to move on to the traps. And the only traps that I play, it is a Cyber Dragon deck. I'm playing 3 Imperm. Imperm's just nice interaction. If you're still going second, it can help with negating some monsters on your opponent's board. So just a nice little addition. Now we're moving on to the extra deck. So right away, we're going to start off with the Ultimate Slayer package. So the cards that you can send off of Ultimate Slayer, we're going to be sending Garura. Garura, when it hits the grave, you know, you can draw a card, and this is going to be dealing with like fusion monsters. So you can send this to spin back a Phantom of Yubel, or if you're playing against Branded, you can spin back their Mirror Jade and it won't trigger. But then we're going to be playing Tri-Brigade Arms Bucephalus II. So this is for getting rid of Link monsters, and when Bucephalus gets sent to the grave, you can send a Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monster from your extra deck. And the one we're going to be sending is Garura. So even if you're sending for a Link monster, you can still send Garura to get a free additional draw when you're dealing with like a Link monster on board. So this only pluses, so that's really good. Next for the Synchros, we're playing a Wind Pegasus Ignister. And when this hits the grave, you can banish it, then target a card your opponent controls and shuffle it into the deck. So another nice card just for spinning stuff and dealing with a Synchro monster. For an Xyz, we're playing Mirrologic Aggregator. And when this hits grave, you can target a face-up card on the field and negate its effects until the end of the turn. So you really only plus by breaking boards with this. So it's just a really good package, in my opinion, to have with Cyber Dragons, because your main goal is to break boards and go in for the OTK anyway. So I think this is really nice. So now for all the Cyber Dragon stuff, we're playing 1 Seeger. Seeger just helps with, again, the OTK. Normally when you're in the battle phase and he hasn't declared an attack, you can target a machine monster with 2100 or more attack, and for the rest of the turn it gains 2100 attack and defense, and neither player takes damage from Seeger. So again, this is just helping boost up your attack for OTK. We're playing 2 Rampage Dragon. Rampage Dragon is the MVP of this deck. This is the main guy you want doing damage because, number 1, when he's fusion summoned, you can target spells and traps up to the number of materials used for the fusion summon and pop them. And then it has its separate effect, you can send up to two light machine monsters from your deck to the graveyard, and it gains additional attacks for each monster sent that way. And also, if you send, say, Cyber Dragon Hers off this, Hers is going to trigger off of Rampage Dragon because it was still sent to the graveyard. So you'll get an additional body off of Hers. Next, one Fortress Dragon for the massive Clockwork Knight fusion. And we play one Mega Fleet for if, say, your opponent has like a really annoying monster in the extra monster zone, then special summon a Cyber Dragon, contact fuse him away. There you go. There's a body. We play one Twin. We play one Cyber End Dragon, just because that card's awesome. One Nova, and one Infinity. These are for if you have to go first, because you want you want to go into your play where you have two level 5s. You go into Nova bring back a Cyber Dragon, and then you can go into Infinity, and Infinity is an Omni Negate, so that'll be nice for going first. And then two other monsters. We play one SP, too good not to play, and then one Zeus. So we have Zeus in case, say, Change of Heart, you steal an opponent's Xyz monster and you attack with it, then you can go into Zeus. Or if you just bring out Nova and attack, then you can go into Zeus that way. But that's it for the extra deck. Then we're going to move on to the side deck I have. And for the side deck, I mostly just replace all of the board breakers for going second with hand traps. So for the side deck, we're going to be going 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, or sorry, 3 Ash, 3 Nibiru, 3 DD Crow, 1 Rev System, 1 Repair Plant, 1 Cybernetic Overflow. Now, Cybernetic Overflow is nice because you can banish Cyber Dragons with different levels from the hand, field, and grave, and then destroy equal number of cards your opponent controls. So this is basically Cyber Dragon's Sword Soul Blackout. So I thought it was a pretty nice interruption. So we're playing 1 Overflow, and you can search this off a core. We're playing 1 Pulse Mines. Now, I feel like Pulse Mines is pretty underrated because if you have no other plays and you draw this, you can just special summon a Cyber Dragon, set this card, and pass. And during the battle phase, if your opponent's trying to kill you, you just crack Pulse Mines. Everything, because you control a machine monster, you change every attack position monster to defense position. And for the rest of the turn, they can only special summon in defense position. So this can save you a turn if, you don't really pull anything good. The last 2 cards that we're playing in the side deck is Cosmic Cyclone, just to deal with a little back row during the opponent's turn. But one more thing before I end the video here, and I wanted to show this for meme purposes because this is extremely funny to do. I don't do this in the side deck because I'm doing a competitive build, but if you want to do this for fun, I would highly recommend it. So one of the builds you can do going second, you can keep this in your side deck, but one of the builds you can run is you can play 1 Cyberload Fusion, and this fusion card says you can fusion summon 1 monster from the extra deck that lists a Cyber Dragon as material. You can shuffle the fusion materials listed on it from on the field and the face-up banish cards. So you're probably thinking like, well, you usually don't have that many Cyber Dragons banished, right? You can just banish core to special summon and yada yada. But the reason for this is we're going to be playing alongside Inferno Tempest. Now, the reason why these two synergize so well is because, say you have Repair Plant, okay, and you have a Cyber Dragon in your graveyard. you can use Repair Plant to add a light machine from your deck to your hand. And the light machine monster that you can add is going to be your Jizukiru. And you're going to give your opponent the Jizukiru. So you're going to tribute one of their monsters, and you can either normal summon Cyber Dragon Noxter, or you can normal summon hers, or even Core. You can normal summon... Actually, no, it has to be one of these two, and I'll explain why. So you can normal summon one of these two if you have them in your hand. You can go to battle phase, swing with one of these two monsters, which will then trigger Inferno Tempest. And Inferno Tempest says when you take 3,000 or more battle damage from one attack, you can activate this card. Remove all monsters in each player's deck and graveyard from play. So banish every monster from the deck and graveyard. Now, pair this with Cyberload Fusion on Resolution, and you get a really, really big Chimera Tech Overdragon in the battle phase. Because this card, when it's fusion summoned, you send all other cards you control to the grave, but the original attack and defense of this card become equal to the number of fusion materials used for the summon times 800. So if we're banishing every single monster from our deck, we're going to count them off here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 monsters times 800. And I can't do the math right now, but 17 times 800. That's going to be extremely massive. So I just wanted to show you guys that because I think this play is hilarious. But that's going to do it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this Cyber Dragon deck. I know I always enjoy playing Cyber Dragon just because it's extremely nostalgic for me to go back to, because it's what got me into Yu-Gi-Oh! But don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you guys enjoyed. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.